asked him why he did that, and he said he didn't have a saw long enough. I had a guy come back and finish. I paid him all this money ahead of time in cash.
A lot of countertops have
Oh, no, they
seams in
don't.
them.
No, they don't. Not like this. Would you want this in your home?
Yes.
Oh, then I think you're lying. I don't find you credible at all.
We don't get to see the pictures in this video, but we don't need to. I trust that Judge Mogen, a lady in her late 40s who's been a lawyer for many years before becoming a judge, knows what shoddy workmanship looks like. She sure knows when someone's bullshitting her, and our shady contractor should grab a shovel. It's getting deep in there. It sounds like this guy is barely a handyman, yet he holds himself out to be a general contractor with broad knowledge and ability. It sounds like he saw an opportunity dealing with a vulnerable adult and thought he could skimp or steal a little. Either that or his work really is shitty, and everyone should stay away. Or maybe both. Let's roll, nerds.
We will go on the record in the matter 24 CV 156, Teresa Grittner versus Don Rayner. Both parties appear in person without counsel. We're set today in this matter for the court trial in this case. Ms. Rittner, you originally filed a small claims complaint, and then Mr. Rayner filed counterclaims, which then made it so the matter was over $10,000 and needed to be filed in a civil matter. But then Mr. Rayner dismissed his counterclaims. And so the matter is now, it's still in the civil case, but the matter has been now reduced to your claims only. I do have your complaint in front of me. I'm going to have both parties please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. So Ms. Rayner, or Ms. Grittner, you have the burden of proof to prove
I
your
have 3
claim.
copies, one for you and one for him and one for me.
And so I'm going to guess those are exhibits that you would like to use?
Yes,
And so what you would need to do is you can pre-mark them, have them marked. You can't give them to the court. You can give them to Mr. Rayner right now if you wish. But then when you're testifying, you're providing your arguments and statements to the court, then you would go off of those documents and then you would ask the court to look at them. So come up here and have them marked. All right, Ms. Grittner, you may begin your testimony.
okay, he started coming and doing work on my house in October of 23. And he was doing good. And then he put this counter on there. And I asked him why he did that. And he said he couldn't find one long enough. He didn't have a saw long enough to cut this. And I said, well, I'm not happy with this. I said, you need to replace it and try to do something with it. And he said it would cost me another $1,000 for him to replace it, which he didn't. He never did that part and never came back and did it because of other situation. So then I had somebody after he quit coming, and he came and redid the counter for me, and it cost me $2,000. And I have a bill in there, and also the first picture is where the seam is at. The second one is not the seam at all.
All right, so the first picture is the
Is
cement.
with the seam in it, and the second one is without the seam. I had to have somebody after he quit coming to me to come back and redo it for me.
Okay.
And then the second one was the island. So in May, he came back and did some work. Then he didn't come back until June 2nd. He said he didn't have enough money to finish the island. So I borrowed him $300 to come back and finish the island, which he never did. And that was the last day I seen of him to come to my house. So I had a guy come back and finish the island on that. His name was Bill. And that cost me $500 for that to get finished. And then the ceiling, because he took down the island, the ceiling on the top was different. And I finally had to get, because he didn't come back, and I I paid him all this money ahead of time in cash. And so I had to have somebody come back and finish it. And 2 people came back and they said that they couldn't finish it. So I ended up costing me a lot more money, and they had to take all the bubbles off and just leave it because they couldn't fix it. So it cost me more money there again. So
Where is that? Where do you have proof of that?
on this picture here, there's a square piece here. It's kind of like in the front room and dining room. Okay, what he used was not the right product or whatever. And then the bill for the guy was to just, I had the rest of the house done. So the top part just for the front room alone and the kitchen was $16.50 for that.
So we're talking about exhibit 3. Yes, exhibit 3. And so how much did it cost you to have another contractor come in and fix the ceiling?
It was $16.50 the first line. That's all you have to worry about. Because that was between the front room and kitchen, I had to do them both. I couldn't just do the kitchen because it was in the,
Okay.
and I text him several times. I also know that when he was doing my place, that he had a bad hip, and that he said he was going to have hip surgery in June of the following year. And he promised me to have this all done before his surgery. Well, he didn't. And that's why I did what I did, because he promised me. I paid him everything in cash. I paid him $1,000 in cash for him to replace that. Then he was supposed to repaint my house again. I paid him another $800. Oh, sorry.
Give me dates.
Dates.
When did this start? When did you first?
In October of 23, and then the last day that he was at my house was June 2nd was the last day that he came to my house of 24.
And when, and I can see on the receipts, when you had other individuals come, October 2024.
The 23rd of October. It started in October and 23, and until of June of 24. The second was the last day he went there.
When was the ceiling work done?
This is after he quit coming there. So then I had people come in after and fix my kitchen and the ceiling and my cupboard. So I can,
When? Date?
I think the date on he came and did this, the kitchen. I think it's on the paper there.
It's not. I see when you.
10/26 of 24 for the ceiling, for the counter.
Yeah, but the ceiling is what I'm asking.
Oh, the ceiling is on that last paper. I'm so sorry, ma'am. Well, he doesn't have a date on there, does he? It was around the same time as these guys, so I'm thinking October or November.
And he allowed you to pay after he did his work?
After he, okay,
Boss Construction, the guy who fixed your ceiling,
right.
allowed you to pay after he did his work.
I pay half or what?
He did the work on the ceiling and then you paid him.
Yes, ma'am. I'm so
Okay.
sorry. I'm so sorry. Yes.
Okay. October work. All right. Now, when did you have conversations with Mr. Rayner about him not completing the work?
In my texts I show you, I text him until I kept on texting him, and then June 2nd, I know I text him again. That's when he came to my house. And then after that, I kept on texting him until I don't know how long, but in my texts, it shows you, I don't know, but I know that he had surgery done on the 25th of June, I think it was supposed to be done. And I told him congratulations on that. And I texted him to August, I think was the last time. I'm not really sure, Emma.
And I'm not going to read all of these, and these are probably not how the exhibit should have been. But I'm not going to read all of these texts. You have to direct me to which ones are important. Which ones where he says, I'm going to do it by this time, or I'm not going to do it.
Oh, I didn't look at that. I'm so sorry.
Because there's like 50 pages of text.
I'm not sure. I know that it would have to be back in June when I asked him when he was going to come back and finish my.
So I'm seeing the last text messages you had or exchanges was on July 15th, but I'm
Great.
seeing it looks like just you texted to him and he did not respond.
Right.
So with what you've told me, I am only seeing $4,150.
What was that, ma'am?
I'm only seeing $4,150. You paid other people to do work that he was supposed to.
Okay, so on that front piece of paper there, it shows that I paid him $1,000 cash and then $800. And to finish the island, I borrowed him $800 for that. And then there was a contractor, he told me that he paid money for, which I know that he did not take the paper to a contractor. So that's $600, so that's 27. And then I go down to what it cost me, because this job should have been all done with the money that I paid him. This is the money I put out of my own pocket to get my house back into order. So it was $1,500 for the ceiling, then it was $2,000 for the counter, and then $500 for the island. So that's 4,000 there. So the the 127, I think it came out to be $6,700.
I thought you testified before that the ceiling was $1,650.
Well, I put 15, I'm sorry about that, but I'll just do the 15, it's fine by me.
You don't have to, I'm just trying to correct what,
Yeah,
sure I have the correct
I did.
facts.
Well, my friend helped me put this up and I didn't realize that, I'm sorry. And I found out through the contractor said that I should have never paid him that $1,000 to replace that.
You can't tell me what a contractor said. That's hearsay,
Okay,
okay?
okay.
All right. So, Mr. Rayner, I have the documents. I'm receiving all three documents, exhibits. You've heard her testimony, and with regards to your non-completion of the construction project and her need to retain other contractors to finish, and you've heard how much she's requesting, $6,850. All right. What is your response?
Um,
Are you, do you disagree that you owe her this money?
yes, the last thing I had to do was paint her island and paint the ceiling. And that's all I needed was paint, not an entire redo. That was per our phone conversation on 5/23, I think.
So are you contesting that, the counter, let's start there with that line, the seam?
Yep, so she wanted it done for Thanksgiving, I think. So it had to get done, and a longer countertop that would not have to have a seam would have took 4 weeks to ship to Menards. And I got the 12-foot and then added the piece, and for a few days, maybe a week, it was all fine until she changed her mind on it.
Well, you see it, it looks lucky, it's crappy, it's not done very well at all.
A lot of countertops have.
They're very legal
seams.
words, ucky and crappy. All right, what?
A lot of countertops have
They
seams in
don't.
them.
No, they don't, not like this. If you're a contractor, I'm not a contractor. There is absolutely no way that a professional contractor who cares about their workmanship would put a seam where this seam is. Absolutely none.
That was due to the time constraints.
As a contractor, did you ask her and say, hey, do you know you'll have to have a seam right here and it's not going to look really great?
Yes, that
We had
was
that conversation.
established and it was fine for a few days, a week.
Where's the text? Do you have it in text?
I think that was in-phase conversation.
All right, so you're saying you had a conversation and you're saying she said, that's okay, I'll live with it.
It was fine for a few days, a week maybe.
Did she see it when you, with the length of the counter that you had, where the seam would need to go and cut like right in between a drawer?
That was purposely put there to access the dog clips to install it.
But you see the picture, right?
I've seen the picture, yes.
Would you want that countertop in your house?
My countertops have seams in them and they're shorter.
Again, I'm not asking about your countertops or where your seams are. Looking at this picture where this seam is with this countertop, would you want this in your home?
Yes,
Oh, then I think you're lying. I don't find you credible at all. Because this is obnoxious. Because I'm gonna guess this isn't marble. I'm gonna guess this isn't granite. This looks like it is,
No, it's not granite.
yeah,
it's for Micah.
it's Formica. That's exactly. Excuse me, it's a cheaper countertop instead of
Right.
granite.
Right.
However, it's made to look like granite and have the grains that go in it. And the positioning of this seam with the lines, because it's white granite lookish or looking, with the really dark black veins, where the seam is, you can tell this just doesn't line up. And then to have the line, the seam be right through the middle of the cupboard door and the drawer. I mean, I'm going to tell you here's the thing. I'll give you a tip. Grew up with a very awesome man, my father, who knows how to do everything. My brother's in contracting. I've been around contractors. If you're going to do a seam like this in a countertop, you do the seam where the dishwasher ends, that split between the dishwasher and the cabinets. You don't do a seam halfway in between. If you would have put the seam after the dishwasher, I probably could have been more like, yeah, I can see that. You probably talked to her. You probably told her those things. But with the seam where it is, that's just not where a contractor would put a seam because it looks ridiculous. It would have blended more after the dishwasher. All right, so what about the ceiling? You said you had to just repaint the ceiling?
Yes, there was a wall there. I took the wall down. I sprayed popcorn texture on it and it needed to be painted.
Well, I don't really have a great photograph. Not really the best photograph, but I can see popcorn sprayed on there. I'm going to tell you, spraying popcorn, that's not that easy to do. I've done it myself. Not easy. You can do it. I'm OCD, so I worked on it and worked on it and worked on it until it was almost pretty much perfect. But it's very difficult to do, and I can't see. I see the different layers here, but then I see where it looks like there's not any. And we have a contractor, a different contractor who came in, who, if you look at his bill in Exhibit 3, the second page, $1,600, and it was to then remove and then have to paint that popcorn ceiling. And then on top of that, to fix that, she paid him to do 3 other rooms. She paid $1,500 additional dollars to do other rooms. So she paid more money to try and make it look the same instead of having him try to redo and refix that spot. So what about that?
All I needed was paint and it was popcorn was installed 2 different times to get it to blend. I think that was a personal decision on her part to take all the popcorn out of the entire upper level of the home and do a flat ceiling.
And you agree though, wouldn't you, that if she had Boss Construction Solutions here coming on in to redo this work or to come in to complete the work because you were not coming to complete it, that it would have been cheaper for her to say, fix that spot of popcorn and paint it if that was all that needed to occur, right?
Well, I think she wanted a flat ceiling after that.
Did she tell you that she wanted flat ceilings, or how did this popcorn ceiling come about?
She didn't tell me she wanted flat ceilings, no.
Did she ask you to redo the popcorn part of the ceiling?
No, she asked me to paint it and I was going to, and then broke my hip and was unavailable.
What about this island where she loaned you money to buy supplies to finish the island?
A little confused about that because the supplies were there and it just needed to be painted and maybe a piece of trim underneath the nosing.
Well, I'm confused about the loaning of the money too, because unless you already paid for it and you needed additional supplies,
You mean for the ceiling,
the
Oh.
island.
the island? So he came on the 2nd of June. There had to be some things finished. And when he came, it cost me $300 more to finish it. He said he had no money. So I gave him $300 to finish the island. He never came back after that. So there was the shelves and there was baskets and the trim that have to be done and a few other things. Bill put it on here what he didn't finish. So it cost me $500 besides the $300 I gave him to finish my island.
So, but the $300 was for the other supplies,
For him to come back and finish it, and he never came back.
not for the supplies that were needed.
No, he said he needed $300 to finish the island. And I said, okay, I will borrow you the $300. Will you come back and finish it? He said yes, and he never did.
I don't get borrowing. Why are you borrowing money?
Because he had no money, I wanted him to finish my island.
That's not borrowing, that's paying. I'm paying you for a service. Why
But
did
I
you
already,
borrow?
but the whole thing is, I already paid him the money for the island on the top $4,200 to do the island. But for him to buy parts and everything to finish the island, he had no money to go buy the parts or anything. So I borrowed him the $300 for parts so that he can come back and finish the island. And he never did.
So he did not bring parts back either?
No, he didn't do, I haven't seen him since the 2nd, when he told me he needed the money to buy the parts. That was the last day I seen him. He told me he was going to try to have this all done before he had his surgery done.
So why did the contractor, William Andrew, need to install a bigger shelf in the island? Was that
Because that was the stuff he was supposed to do.
and install the
And he
dual
only,
trash slide out in the island? That was what he was supposed to do as well.
right.
So Mr. Andrew had all of the materials, he just needed to do the labor.
He did the labor, that's including labor and parts.
Well, it just says miscellaneous labor. There's no parts.
Well, it was $300 for him to buy the parts and to do it,
Ooh,
Bill. For,
he only charged $500 only for labor. There's no parts.
well, it was for parts and labors. It wasn't just the labor. It was for parts and labor. I guess he didn't put that in there. I'm sorry about that. But it was parts and labor.
He would have to put that in there. Contractors have to put this part and it's this labor and this. This only says labor. So I'm having a difficult time understanding that there was a need for additional parts of $300 that Mr. Rayner needed to borrow to go buy.
He was just supposed to buy parts to finish the island, Mr. Rayner, but he never brought the parts back.
Did he tell you what parts?
Well, I wanted 2 baskets and there was only 1 in there. And then he also did something with the shelves, and then on the bottom, he never put the base molding on it. It was there, so he had to put that in there because he didn't finish that either. And then he had to finish the shelves that were there. But
I'm trying to figure out $300 in parts. One other basket is not $300.
I don't know, I am not understanding you.
I'm just trying to understand this loan. You
Okay.
said you loaned him $300.
I owed, because he had no money,
Get
he
that.
said, okay? So I gave him $300 and I said, this is a loan, you have to pay me this back for go buy the parts so you can finish the island. And he never did. So
I'm still not understanding how a basket is $300 because the parts, I'm not hearing that there's $300 in parts. Plus, if something happens and you're doing construction and then they say, oh, well, you're like, I want 2 baskets instead of 1, that means that's an additional charge on you, not on the contractor.
no, I gave him $300 to him to come back and finish doing my island. I don't know what parts he had to buy, but he was supposed to come back and finish it, and he did. So my friend Bill, because he only bought 1 basket, I wanted 2 baskets. And Menards was nice enough for me to break the 1 basket in. I got a double basket, it cost me more for that. And then Bill finished for the labor, he putting the basket in and then doing some shelf and doing the trim was $500.
All right, still not understanding completely, but Mr. Rayner, she gave you $300 at some period of time for the island. She says it so you can go buy supplies to finish the island. I don't quite understand if it was that or for additional services. What was that $300 for?
I'm not aware of $300 being loaned to me for any purpose, especially parts. The parts to the island were there. The baseboard that she talked about, that was the piece of trim I had to install, paint it, and then paint the ceiling. She owed me $420 on our phone conversation at 5/23. We agreed that she should just take that money and put it towards the individual coming in and finishing those 3 items.
All right. Do you have any proof that you gave him $300?
Everything I gave Mr. Reiner was cash. No, I don't.
And so you didn't do a receipt, you didn't do anything?
No, I trusted him.
But either way, it costs you an additional $500 to finish the island.
That's right, ma'am.
Mr. Rayner, what is this $600 to consult with a contractor about blueprints?
There's no consulting for any blueprints.
I have a quick question. Where's his quote?
Okay.
Where's his quote? Where's his bill? Where's Mr. Rayner's anything?
That's what he billed me, $600.
I get
Okay.
it, I get it. Where is his bill that he gave you to say?
He never gave me any bills or anything.
Like, this is what the total's gonna be. He just said, well, I think it's gonna be $10,100. You're like, sure,
That's
okay.
all, that's what he told me. He said that he took my papers, all my papers to a contractor because I told him the wall was not a permanent wall. So he said he took it to a contractor and it cost him $600 to pay the contractor.
I get what you're trying to say with that. When a contractor comes into your home and says, I'm going to renovate for you, I'm going to do some projects for you,
Right,
and it's going to cost over $10,000, even if it's going to cost $500, you see what happens here. You see that you get a bill from boss and you get a bill from Mr. Andrew. Where's
Right.
the bill from him?
he didn't give me a bill. He told me that's what he paid a contractor, so I paid him
You're not
$600.
listening. I don't care about the $600. The total bill, the $10,000 bill. Where is that?
I gave him all cash. He told me it would cost me an extra $1,000 for him to change.
Do you see a receipt? This is from
No.
Mr. Andrew. Do you see this?
Yeah,
Where's the one from Mr. Rayner?
he never gave me any bills of any kind.
Why? Why didn't you require one?
He gave me nothing. He never gave me one bill for anything, ma'am. Everything was done from his word to my word. And I paid him cash with everything.
And you didn't ask for a quote, a written estimate of what it's going to cost?
No.
You just believed him.
On my emails, he tells me what it was gonna cost for each one of these projects that he did.
Okay, show me.
On the first part of the emails,
They're text messages.
right,
Where?
in the first part of October. I was looking at them. But that's what he told me it would cost me to do.
He says in a text message, I don't know what page because none of them are marked, but it says, it goes, as far as the wall demo, I'm going to have to look into that some more before giving a
Okay,
quote. So
on the-
where's the quote?
on this page, the second page, at the top, he was saying it would cost 40,000. It's on the second page, and it's this one here and this one here. And then to do the sink, it was going to be $300, and so far, that's what the cost. That's how he was doing it to me. There was no paperwork. It was.
I hope you've learned a lesson that with the other contractors that you've worked with, you get quotes, you get receipts, you get paper, not a text message. And it gives you an idea of it's going to be this much in parts, this much in labor. This is exactly what we're going to do, instead of the text message number 2 that says setting the countertops with all the custom cabinet work is $4,200, or the tile backsplash with the wall tile is $2,000. It should say $800 for the tile backsplash and then $1,200 for labor. It's not very detailed and it's not written. Not a good way to do business. Is there a text message that says the $600?
No, it was just word from him to me.
And I have a question for you. If you don't have a quote or an estimate or anything of that nature, how do you remember $800 for repainting, $300 for the sink, $600 for
I
contractor?
wrote it down on a piece of paper
Where's
for
that paper?
myself. Oh, at home, I didn't bring it. That's why I brought this. I wrote it on a piece of paper at home. Just,
When did you write it on that paper?
I don't know when I remember how to do things, what he did and what it cost. I know that he redid my painting, my kitchen, my whole front room, that was $1,100. I paid him cash. And then he did a closet, that was $450. He painted it and put new shelves in, and I paid cash for that. And that's not on here because that was just a hearsay from both of us. But the paint job that that it cost $1,100, it wasn't done right. So he was supposed to repaint it before he left. That's where the $800 comes in to saying, because I paid him the $800 already for him to come back and repaint it, and he didn't. So that's where that $800, and for the contractor thing, is I asked him, do you have proof from somebody that you paid this to somebody? And he said, no, he didn't. And that's why I put down $600, because that's what he quoted. He said he paid out, which I don't think he even took the paper to somebody.
I don't know how many times you've had people come in and do work
I
in your
know,
home.
I know.
But I'm gonna tell you, if he messed up the painting in your kitchen and if it has had a shadow or some other incorrect painting on a wall and it needs to be corrected, you don't need to pay him more money. He needs to fix that on his dime.
I
He's
know.
the contractor who
I
did it
found-
wrong.
I know. I know.
And so just, I hope you've learned a lesson of how not to do business in the future. Get a written quote. You go off of the quote. Not that that's the end all be all, because some things
Yep.
can come off and others can be added, but that's what you should legally do.
Yep.
Because otherwise it's very hard to prove all of this money that you say you've paid and that he's saying, nope, I didn't get it.
I also gave him, when he was having a hard time to come to my house, I gave him cash of $50 for him to come back to my house, so that he could come back to my house and finish it, because he didn't have the money. And I never, mentioned that. And then when he was having a hard time, when he couldn't have food, I would give him all my Menards things so that he could go eat. So, I mean,
Ms. Gritner, you sound like a lovely lady. You sound like you are very trusting when you probably
Right.
should not be.
right, I know.
Really do hope that this is a lesson. Hopefully you don't need to renovate anymore or do any other changes, but sometimes some contractors are not all upfront and open. And that's really a shame because it gives other contractors a bad name. Mr. Rayner, why did you not go back and finish all of the work?
Because of our phone conversation that she was gonna put the $420 that she owed me to paint the counter, the island, the ceiling, and put that trim on.
But that's not nearly enough to finish, as you can see. There's a lot of other things that needed to be completed with other contractors that come in and give her a quote and then a receipt.
Yep. The ceiling needed to be painted, not scraped and skim coated. So that I have a hard time believing it wasn't appropriate for enough for paint when it was when I left. And the coat of paint on the island and the piece of trim, that was the last two things I had to do. And she wanted the garbage cans.
I believe she gave you $300 more on top of that. What was that for?
I didn't receive $300 for additional anything of the island.
Did she give you $50 to have food? Did she give you Menards money, rebate money to go get food?
She gave me Menards rebates.
More than $5?
Neighborhood of $60, $70.
$60 or $70. See, I'm having a very hard time believing you, Mr. Rayner. Because I believe that she gave you $50 here or there. I believe that $50, $60, $70 in Menards rebates that she wasn't asking to have paid back because she wanted to make sure that you ate and you we're healthy and we're not hungry. I believe her when she says that. And it's hard to believe that your last communications ended in July of 2024 when she attempted to have you do work. You didn't respond to any after that. And then she didn't want to live in chaos and a mess. So she needed to have another contractor come and do the work. And so that wasn't completed until mid or later October. October 26th, so late October. So she waited from June 2nd until October 20th, 26th, before she had somebody else come in and do the work. Why didn't you go and do the work before then?
Because of our conversation, the money that she owed me, she was gonna give it to another person to finish it. So in my terms, we were finished.
I didn't hear that she owed you more money. I heard that she gave you more money.
There was $420 left to pay me, and when we talked on 5/23, I couldn't complete those things because I broke my hip, and we agreed that she would give that to someone that she could find to finish the projects.
So none of that is in a text message, even though there's other text messages back and forth of this still needs to be done. When are you coming to the house? Are you coming to the house? Are you looking at the house? So you're telling me that the conversation where in your mind, it cleared everything up, put you guys square, that's not in writing anywhere. But then after that alleged conversation, there's multiple text messages. Are you coming back? Are you going to do this? Are you going to fix this? Did you go buy the garbage can from St. Croix Menards for her and for her island? And you said, yep, I did. And I'll go get that. And that was in June 14th. When that conversation happened, and additional conversations in text message about additional work, but yet May 23rd or sometime in May, when you broke your hip, you believe a conversation happened where it squared y'all up.
Yes, that when we were talking about the last of the projects that needed to be completed, we discussed the $420 could go to an individual to finish the work.
But then why isn't that in the additional text messages after May 23rd, in which there is discussion about you continuing to come back to finish the work?
Well, it's kind of how we're here, is she's suing me for these things.
I get it, but you're saying a conversation happened, but it just so happened to be on telephone, oral, that there's no document, there's no record of it. You're saying that you had this conversation and it set you both square, equal, square. You go on your way, she goes on her way. That happened May 23rd. But then after May 23rd, there's multiple text messages in which she's talking to you saying, hey, are you going to get this for the house? Are you going to come complete this? Are you going to finish that? After May 23rd, which obviously in written form doesn't look like you squared things away.
It appears so.
So what is accurate and true? The conversation you had or what's in written form that I can read?
Well, we had the conversation on the 23rd and I left it at that. I believe she continued to text me those things.
Doesn't make sense.
Ma'am, on May 15th, that was when he was at my house. And he didn't come back to my house until June 2nd. He said on his paper when he was going to sue me that he fell and broke his hip on the 27th of May. So if he broke his hip at my house on the 27th of May, how did he come back to my house on June 2nd?
I don't know. I don't know what's in his answer and counterclaim.
But, that's what I'm saying. He said he fell and broke his hip at my house, and I went through all of that because he said he did, and I know he didn't. But if you look on the 15th, he was at my house and he said he slipped and that his hip hurt on the 17th when I talked to him. That was the last time I talked to him, and he came on June 2nd. And that's when he said that he needed to borrow the $300 so I could finish the island. That's what I'm,
I really don't know. And again, this is why everything needs to be in writing, especially if you're going to spend $10,000. That's a lot of money to throw out
that's-
there.
I know, I spent a lot of money that I gave him.
Well, it's hard for me to believe that there were conversations in writing which state come back and finish the work after the May 22nd, May 23rd phone call. And even if there was a phone call, then she said, you know what, I don't agree with that anymore. I want it fixed, and I want it fixed to what I believe is at the condition that it should be for me paying $10,000. There's not a lot here from either side. So a lot of this is fully based upon credibility. And I believe that Ms. Brittner is more credible in this situation than Mr. Rayner is. I don't understand the $300, but now I'm seeing a text. I just opened it up and it says $300. I don't know what that is or means. Yes, there was conversations in July about repaying the $300 plus an additional $800 because you can't go back and paint her house like you said you were going to do. So you need to pay her $1,100 back to her.
Mhm.
And that was before she even had contractors come in
Right,
to give her quotes to finish the work. So based upon the text messages and all that I have here, the court is going to order $6,850 to be paid to Ms. Brittner from Mr. Rayner, dismissing his claims with prejudice. They've already been dismissed. The court finds that $1,000 to redo the countertop, $800 to repaint the house, $300 for whatever money she gave you to finish the island. I don't know why she would make something up or even have the ability to think about making something up about the contractor and the blueprints with the wall for $600. $1,650 to redo the ceilings, the $2,000 to redo the countertops on top of what she paid you to redo them. And then the additional $500 she paid to have the island finished on top of the $300 that she paid you. So there's a total of $6,850 that Mr. Rayner owes to Miss Brittner for not only being overpaid and not coming and redoing the work, but the additional money she had to pay the contractor to finish the work. So that is the order of the court, and that is the judgment, plus service costs and fees.
thank you.
So that it's up to you to get the information to collect, but it is, I'm going to state that it's due within 3 months to Miss Brittner, or you can make payment arrangements with Miss Brittner on what is agreeable to have the matter repaid at whatever amount you believe you can afford. Otherwise, we have to have a hearing and the court has to go over all of that and then make sure that there's things that you understand if you fail to pay, that you could be found in contempt, you could have sanctions ordered against you. That is the order of the court, and we are adjourned.